everyone, what's up? Welcome back to my channel, Koki Creative. My name is Elena and I'm a part of the EA Creator Network. So today we are making a base game house. I'm building it in San Sequoia on that 20 by 40 lot. Before I uploaded it to the gallery, I did put it on a 40 by 30 lot. So if you download it from the gallery, you will see that it is on a slightly bigger lot just because I could not get the lighting to look good when I wanted to upload this to the gallery. So I ended up moving it to a completely different neighborhood. So like I said, it is a base game house. It's on a 40 by 30 lot in the gallery. It's 4 beds, 5 baths, and 231,000 simoleons. Might be wondering why it costs so much when the house isn't that big, but I did add a giant basement with a pool and an in-law suite. So yeah, it's actually much bigger than it looks in the gallery. It's sort of a Tudor style, which I always like. I think it's really pretty. And I wasn't using any sort of reference photo when I built this. I was just sort of playing around and seeing what looked good. As you can see here, I'm kind of struggling with, that wasn't turning into a room. I don't know what was happening. Sometimes it's just, I don't know, it can be finicky. So I end up doing this instead. Wait, have I gotten there yet? Have I figured out what I wanted to do yet? A lot of my building is just sort of playing around. So sometimes I will build the shell of it and then I'll knock it down and then I'll start recording and rebuild the shell just because the shell takes so long to figure out. Like right here, I knew I wanted to have like this glass hallway to the kids' room, but I wasn't really sure how big I wanted to make that glass walkway. Might change it. I'm not sure. But this is the second story. I can't remember. Okay, I built this a while ago. I built this a couple months ago, back in October, but I finally found the time to edit this. And I really like this build. I do. I've even had Sims live in here and played in this build for hours. And it's a very fun little house. I don't like to play in very big houses. So honestly, I don't play in that many of my builds because some of my builds are just a little bit too big for my play style, which is kind of funny. But I usually like to have a one story with a basement. I find that to be like the most efficient. And when you're playing in a basement, you don't have to the game's not rendering everything else in the street around you. Not that my game is like laggy that much, but it makes a difference when I'm just like down in the basement focusing. But so that's why I put a basement in this. I sort of built this for me. Like I needed to build, I remember when I built this, it was one of these I needed to build something else for some reason, but I decided instead I'm going to make a base game house. And this is what I ended up creating. And I did it in one sitting or 2 sittings. And that's pretty good for me. Usually a build this size, I'll do maybe in 3 sittings, which not too bad. I think it took me around 6-ish hours, something around that. Not positive. It always changes. It depends on if I'm in the mood to build or anything like that. So I'm making the second story. And I always end up making second stories, even when I want to have just a single story house. Sometimes I make a faux second story just because I like the curb appeal it gives. But anyway, now I'm working on the roof and I'm almost done with it. I had so much fun roofing this house. I've made so many modern houses lately that have rooftop decks, and I've been really in the mood to do a challenging roof. I know a lot of people don't really like doing roofs, but a little bit of practice does go a long way. So after I finish the shell, the roof, then I move on to some of the details. So here I'm making the front porch. The front porch for me is always kind of an important focal point of the build. So I wanted this to look really welcoming. It's supposed to be a family build, so I wanted to have a family feel to it. There are kids and there is a playroom in this build as well. I've been adding a lot of playrooms recently to my builds and it's been a great idea. It takes away all that pressure of trying to fit in all the toys into each of the kids' rooms, and instead you can just have one room that has everything in it. So I am actually adding on to the second story. I wanted to see what it would look like if it was popping out a little bit in the back, but I wasn't loving how it wasn't centered, so I kind of just reshaped it. I was trying not to add on too much though, because this always happens. I always think I'm going to do a quick small build and then it ends up becoming this big elaborate thing. And I already knew I wanted to add a basement, so I wasn't even planning on having the second story, but the second story was worth it. It's this cute little reading nook up there and hobby room. So it does have a function and it does all work. So don't worry about that. Now I'm getting to the basement, and this was the main idea for this build. I wanted the entry to be on the outside of the house. That way there's a private entrance to that in-law suite that I was talking about. and to the other activities. Imagine if you're having a party and your Sims can all just go to the basement and all the other Sims don't have to go all up in your house and on your computer and eat your stuff. You can kind of keep them away from your home and have everything down in the basement. Besides the in-law suite, there's a pool and a gym and this big indoor-outdoor hangout area that I am working on right now. So it's a big hole in the ground at the moment, but I'm going to add a ceiling over top of it with these low fences. I'm drawing it out and just sort of make a fun design. And then over top of that, I added a glass roof so that way the Sims are protected from any rain. At one point, I did play test that to make sure that the glass roof worked in this indoor-outdoor situation. But now I'm not 100% sure. So if for some reason your electronics are no longer working in this indoor-outdoor area, I am sorry, but I'm pretty sure it does. And all I have out there is a stereo, I think. Other than that, it's like a bar, anything that I would just have in a normal outdoor area. So don't worry about that too much. But that's the glass roof that I'm talking about. And it kept disappearing when I was working on the build. So if you see it off again throughout this speed build, I just added it at the very end. There was one point where I'm like, okay, this thing just keeps deleting itself. I'm just going to wait till the very end to add it because there's no point of keep adding it while I'm building other things. Oh, I love that circle window. While I was building this is before we got that pretty big update with more windows and some other like build by stuff. So I'm kind of bummed I didn't have all of that for this base game house, but it doesn't matter. I mean, I didn't really feel like I struggled too much with this, especially with the style. It's not very hard to, I'm not running out of objects with this style. To mess around with the roofs like that, you can do Shift C, Shift S. Oh my God. I can't think of it right now. Oh my gosh, Google it if you don't know. But you can add more detailed roofing options by clicking Shift C, I believe. I don't know why my brain is telling me, wait, it might be Shift S. Probably because I'm recording myself, so I'm extra aware of the things that I'm saying. Anyway, I add these pillars to the corners because I just like the way that looks. One time I got a comment and it was like, you don't need to add those like for support. And I'm like, oh, thanks, Queen. But like, I do know that. And I'm like, wait, does it look like I'm adding those? Because I don't know what I'm doing. If that's so, so be it. I don't care. I like the way it looks. If you don't like the way it looks, the sledgehammer tool, you can get to it by clicking K on your keyboard. Or you can just go up to the icon in the top middle. Now I'm making the roof details. I don't know what to call these, but this took me a good 20 minutes probably. And it's always worth it when I do it. I don't love to do this that often just because it is a little time consuming, as you can see. I play around with tool mod quite a bit, but it's still I'm not swift with it. I'm kind of clunky sometimes. So yeah, am I using the tool mod? Yes, but is it do I look like I know what I'm doing? Probably not, but I kind of do. I was going to clip a lot of this out, but I figured why not? I'll show you the process, especially if you are new to Toolmod. I have been using Toolmod for over 5 years, and I would say I feel pretty comfortable with it. So if I'm kind of struggling, I don't want to say struggling, but you're not going to get the dimensions right on the first try sometimes, and that's okay. You might not get it right on the 5th time you try it, and that's also okay. Toolmod is a great tool, though. It's like my favorite building mod. Talked about it earlier, that you don't need to have Toolmod in order to download any of these builds that use Toolmod, which is also great. And sometimes, if you play on console and you want to download something someone made on Toolmod, like a specific object, and you want it in your game, people on the gallery upload their creations of things they made with Toolmod that you can just add to your game. So check out the gallery if you're looking for some new items and you can't download CC or you don't want to download CC. Just check that out too. I've thought about uploading some things I've made there. I just, I come up with all the excuses. But anyway, so as you can see, I'm still working on this like sunrise. I'll call it that. That's the design I'm going for. And with this, I was trying to figure out the right dimensions or the right degree. I wanted to put these sun rays, that's what I'm going to call them, these little sun rays at. So I tried to make sure that they are symmetrical, and that was the most important thing in my mind. Is this the symmetry? It didn't really matter so much on the angles between themselves. So anyway, now I'm using some brick. I love this dark brick. This dark brick is like one of my favorites. It's a base game dark brick. It's very pretty. I don't do brick builds often enough. They are fun. I have done a couple recently, so yes, I was in a brick mood. But I think I use this white panels. I don't know what they're called. They are like surprisingly expensive for looking so rustic, but it's base game. So, you know, like I think about how base game came out in 2014. And some of the prices of objects just do not make sense. Base game has some of the ugliest items, I am so sorry, that are so expensive. Like some of the art, not that, I mean, art is subjective, so I can't say it's bad art or anything like that. Just art I never use. Like I don't often build like jazz clubs, so I don't use the music ones that often. Anyway, now I'm making exterior details. This is where I am adding the bells and the whistles, sort of, before I do the landscaping. I usually do a little bit of this before I just jump on into landscaping, because I do go all out for this one. I add a little sitting area. Now, I didn't do too much on the porch. I want it to be kind of open. And let's say you download this and you want to add something to the porch. Great, there's plenty of room. I make those faux shutters with curtains, space game curtains, obviously base game. Now, using the terrain tool, I love drawing out wavy designs. I rarely have like really angular. I just love this. I love the way it looks. I usually surround the house with kind of like a rounded, pretty shape. Yeah, just like a lumpy, lumpy shape. And then I fill all that in with flowers. That's sort of like my go-to right now. And I've done it so many times now that it doesn't take me that long to do. So I kind of just do that. I have been trying to branch out and try a whole bunch of different landscaping techniques, because I don't want to be like a one-trick pony. You know, I want to have a couple of things that I could do under my belt. So I do like desert landscape as well. Anything with cactus, that's always fun. But we're going to talk about this today. Since I am building this in San Sequoia, and I might move it to Newcrest when I upload to the gallery. So if you're looking at it in the gallery, pretty sure it's Newcrest, and San Sequoia and Newcrest have a very similar feel to them. So I tried to use bushes and other things that you could find realistically in this world, and I place those all around. I like to do it this way too, like just have my camera still and look at everything, just to get a good idea of if I'm like evenly covering everything. And also I've gotten so used to recording and building this way because it's a lot easier to edit when I'm still. The less my camera moves around, the better, especially when I'm doing like 4-speed right now. And it's just, I whip around that camera, especially when I'm not recording. I feel free. Sometimes when I'm playing and I decide to like build a little something for my Sims, I just go crazy. Okay, so let me quickly talk about the bricks I just laid down along the path, the landscaping. I cut out a lot of that because that took me so long, probably like a half hour. But that is a debug item, and it's like this little brick. It also comes in a lighter color. It's pretty, it's a little wonky if you look too close, but that's like real life. Real life, the paths are not perfectly straight. That's very unrealistic. So yeah, it's a little wonky, but that's one of my favorite things to do. I like to usually have some sort of border with landscaping, whether it be just a couple of rocks, like I'm putting around these trees, or like sometimes I've used like driftwood. There's a really good driftwood piece, 2 of them in Debug Cats and Dogs, that is really pretty. I like to use that in any kind of like coastal world, but it just looks nice. It kind of like finishes things up. Or if you're just making like a really overgrown build, you know, don't have a border. Then I make these like additional little planters along the path. So this one has a tree. I think that turned out kind of cute. I did something similar in a build before, and I thought this is the perfect opportunity to do that again. Sometimes I start a build just so I can do some landscaping. I think it's just so fun. I love it. I love adding pretty trees, and it's just like it comes together so quickly, quicker than you think. So I didn't cut out a lot here. A lot of this is completely uncut, and you can see how quickly I just put all this together and how nice and polished it looks once you just sort of add a couple of bushes. I use my favorites. Base Game has some of my favorite plants. I usually use Base Game plants because I tend to do limited pack builds, and packs don't come with a lot of plants. I mean, they do in debug, but without debug, it's not a ton. I generally try to avoid using too much debug items. I mean, if you look around my builds, you'd be like, you use tons. But I just try to, because I have everything that I want to, everything's play tested. All my builds are. And sometimes debug items, when shrinking and growing, they can get in the way. Someone places them without bb.moveobjects. bb.moveobjects on, and there's like an issue with placing. I try to avoid as many possible issues as I can. I mean, obviously I like to have fun with it, but I try not to make the whole entire build just completely debug items. And if I can have something that's playable, I will. And I love these new terrain paints. I say new. They probably came out a couple months ago. Obviously, this is back in October. But I just think they're so pretty, and it is going to save me so much money when I make starter homes, because I don't have to worry about the price of tile. And that was one of my favorite tiles, like that, I can't remember, terracotta kind of tile. So everything is coming together. I still don't have paint, I think, on all of the build, but that eventually comes around. I like the way these windows look, but I can't remember if I end up changing them a little bit. Oh, I think I do, as I change the windows. But, you know, you have to work with what is there. And I tend to put the windows after I do the layout, and it's so frustrating when you realize, like, it doesn't work. The window vision that you had, it's just not going to work. Okay, this is the second story. Like I said, it's pretty small. There is an office up there and just a ton of skill building activities. I mean, as someone who likes to play and doesn't like to go to outside lots as much as possible because I don't like loading screens, I wanted to add it for you guys, people who don't like loading screens and just want to stay at home. I ended up taking out a little bit of the floor plan part just because I had to end up changing it around so much, but you get the point. And here I'm placing my placeholder items so I can know what each room means and what I want it to be. That really helps me because sometimes I think, obviously, I'll remember what this room represents, but then I leave the build for a couple of months and I come back to it and I'm like, I don't even know if this is supposed to be the bathroom, a bedroom, an office, I don't know. So I try to put these placeholder items first thing before I even finish the exterior, so that way I know what each room is supposed to be. And I like to add the flooring then too, and sometimes the wallpaper, but I do like to save the wallpaper until I know exactly what color scheme I want each of the rooms. And then obviously I had to do one of my favorite things. I've done it so much lately, I know, but adding bushes up the wall like ivy. So since it's base game, we don't have any wall ivy there. So I just made my own. And I end up liking the way this looks better because it's just more full with the bushes. It just takes quite a bit of time. And when you are playing, if the walls are half up or the walls are down, you will see some of the bushes floating, but I try to make sure they're on the proper level so that way they aren't really getting in the way of gameplay. And where I do put them, I also try to be like, I test it out with the walls down to see, does this get in the way of gameplay? And if the answer is yes, I will move it. I added a hot tub in the basement, and I had to use this stupid one with the roof on it because it's the only base game one we have, but that's fine. This is fine. This is like the entry point, and I kind of made it like a place where you're about to go into a pool. So there's some towels, and you're maybe going to go to the gym. Again, you need some towels. So this is sort of like entryway mud room. I don't know what you want to call it, but I just put like random stuff in here. I'm like, what do I put in here? Why not these tools? These tools on the wall. I don't know what I was thinking. I like the way those look though. I think they're kind of cute. I did make this kind of nice with the curtains. I did end up liking this area. I think this is nice. I kind of want to do some more basement houses. I played in just basement houses before. I like it. Like I was talking about how I like basement houses earlier, but yeah, I think it's kind of fun. I was using these new bars that come with this update that I was talking about earlier too, and fit perfectly here. And I like that there's 2 bars because like they're 1 tile bars, thank goodness, because I was so sick of just having these 2 tile bars or like 4 bars. That way we can have 2 Sims back there mixing drinks, and yeah, it's all good, all fun. I played around with this for a bit. I was just trying to make like a nice back wall here because I just feel like that's pretty important when it comes to like the back of a bar, you know, where the drinks are, where the cocktail or the alcohol bottles are. So I added these. They're technically supposed to be olive oil bottles, but you know, it's liquor today. So put that there, a jukebox for do some dancing. This area is basically just like a backyard, especially since they don't really have a backyard, but I want there to be a grill, a bar, sitting area, something for everyone to do. I know it's more of like an adult hangout space, but the pool and other things make it great for kids. I'm pretty sure I added some other kid activities. Can't remember. They have a playroom they can go into if they need to have something to do. I tried to squeeze in as many activities as I could here, but base game doesn't have too many things. So there is this dartboard that came with an event, the holiday event, I'm pretty sure. So I added the dartboard. Otherwise, there is one in Get Together, but this is not the one from Get Together because it's base game. And this hangout sitting area, which is always nice to have. Great place to grab a drink and then go sit here, or maybe get a little grilling in, eat some food, have some burgers. Once I finish up with this area, I go up to the main house and I just knock it out. So starting with the living room, I went browns. It just sort of made sense with the exterior, and browns and whites and tans. So not the most colorful build this time, but I do plenty of colorful builds, and it's totally fine to do something that's beige and brown. It feels very warm, very cozy. I love these pillows so much. I think we also got these with an event as well, but there's so many different swatches and you can mix and match. So here I'm making the couch and the love seat match with the different color pillows. I just think it looks so nice. It just ties everything together. Use the 9 key to lift if you did not know, and 0 lowers. So if you want to lift a pillow up onto your couch, just click 9 until it goes all the way up there. Then I use that tan on the really dark walls to make it pop. So I am trying to use like contrasting browns to make the colors pop. So even though it isn't colorful, I am still trying to give the illusion of like, it's not just one note. It's not one note throughout. This is the entryway. Hallways and entryways, any kind of like non-specific room stresses me out. It's like, what do you put there? Usually put some sort of table, and I put a package with some money on it and then a shoe rack underneath. Figure that's a good like entryway thing to have, someplace to throw your keys, your shoes, that sort of thing. So the entry kind of seamlessly leads into the living room. That's also open to this music area that I made. It has a piano and a guitar. I just wanted an area that your Sims could play music. I usually put the instruments together, unless if I'm just trying to find something to fill a space and a guitar just happens to fit. But I tend to like to stick all of those things together. One of these days, my fingers are crossed, we will get a bands pack, some sort of way to play together. Maybe it'll be an update. It's weird to me that there isn't a way in Sims 4 after 11 years of being a game that there isn't a way to play together as a band when you could do that in Sims 3, and I'm pretty sure maybe even in Sims 2. So it's just like, I'm not like mad about it. I'm just like, I'm waiting for the day. My fingers are crossed. Something I want to show you here. I'm using debug. It's like a little bundle of twigs, and I use tool mod to rotate it up and down, and I put it in a vase. So I made like a little custom piece there, because you know when you're doing base game, you run out of items pretty quickly. These are like my favorite counters. I have used so many different counters for so many different packs. I love them, everything like that. But like Even if I'm doing an unlimited pack build, I will still sometimes use these counters. I always have to psych myself up before I do a kitchen because kitchens are so important. They sort of set the mood of the home. There's a lot of cooking done there, and this is a family home, so even though I don't have a ton of space, I still wanted it to look unique and like something that I don't do every single time. And I really don't try to repeat kitchens. I always try to make them look a little bit different every time. And I mean, this one isn't incredibly unique or anything, but I still wanted to do something like put this little shelf above the sink and have this like half dining room table included in there. I didn't have space for a dining room in another space, unless if I wanted to take away the music corner and then add the dining room, but I wanted the dining room to be in the same area as the kitchen. Otherwise, there would be this big empty space right there. This is one of the bathrooms, and there are a couple of bathrooms. They all pretty much look like this, so this is the only one I'm going to be showing you. These are some of my favorite items in general for bathrooms in the game. I really like having a shower tub combo because it's nice given the option to take a shower, which is quicker, or a bath, which can change your Sim's mood. So I like being able to have both. It is more expensive. But anyway, now we are in the main bedroom. This is the parents' room. Kind of has this Western feel with that red bed. I ended up making that bed the accent color, and the rest of the room is sort of tan with a couple of pops of like yellowish orange, but I wanted the bed to really stand out. This is the closet over here, and even though it's not really a closet, I'm using this little nook in here like a closet. I added another mirror on the wall so that way you kind of have a full look at your outfit before leaving for the day. And then there is an ensuite bathroom, and it's pretty much identical to the one that you saw earlier. I don't know why I'm so scared of an empty wall in The Sims, because honestly in real life I think a nice blank wall is totally fine and acceptable. But in The Sims, I'm like, it just looks wrong. So obviously I had to do something with that blank space. Now this is the playroom, and I just want to show this curtain part because, oh my God, I'm pretty sure there's a mod to make it so the curtains don't jump around, but I'm too lazy to check it out. So this is one of the two kids' bedrooms. It is pink and tan. Above the bed, there's a shelf with some toys on it, like a horse and a cat and a bunny. I love using that horse toy as a little horse sculpture just because I know so many people have little horse sculptures, and I thought it'd look really cute, almost like very princessy to have this curtain above the bed. And to go along with the princess theme, there is a castle dollhouse in the corner, and behind the princess door is the playroom. I tried to make both of the rooms work for kids/teens. You would have to delete some of the items for once they become a teenager, but I wanted to be so you would have to do the least amount of changing for that transition. So this is the playroom, and I ended up changing the carpet to something fun because I thought this wood was a little boring. I love this carpet. It comes in so many fun swatches. I've used it in kids' rooms, and then I've also used it for like nightclubs too. This is the second kids' bedroom. I have green as the accent color in here, but I mostly use gray. I change the swatches around a little bit. So this is definitely a pre-teen going into teen room. So imagine that awkward stage where you still kind of like kid stuff, but you also want to feel mature. I was slightly inspired by my brother's bedroom growing up because he had this wallpaper border, a huge thing in the 90s. I had a Barbie one and a ballerina one, but my brother had this Mickey skateboarding border on his wall up into his teens because he just didn't care to change the room. It just kind of makes me laugh because there are just things that you just don't end up changing. And I can see this monster door that they have into the playroom just sort of staying there because why would you take it off? I, on the other hand, was always changing my bedroom around. Sometimes I'd come home from school just like, what can I do? And I would just rearrange my furniture. Okay, so earlier I did say that we were only going to look at one bathroom, but I had to show you this one because it's such a unique shape. It's also in this second story right above the entry. So it is an awkward shape, but I do like the way this bathroom turned out. It's tan. It looks just like the other ones, but I put a fancy tub in there so you can go up there to soak in a bubble bath. This is a little area for chess. Other spaces up here include an art nook, a reading nook, and there's an office that has a bonsai tree in it as well. I think this is a great little spot to read and write. It's just a place away from the family. Before we get to the basement, I just want to quickly say that if you buy any Sims pack, you can use my creator code, KokiCreative, at checkout, and it helps support me as a creator. So just want to say that before we finish this up. Now we're down in the basement working on the pool. So in the pool room, there's also a hot tub, and I'm adding lights to the pool just because I like the way that looks. And I changed the color around. You can do this if you did not know, but you can change the floor and the wall swatch on the walls of a pool. So I did that to kind of fit the look I was going for. I was just going for like basement pool, nothing really fancy. I've made some fancy basement pools before, but this one is more of just like family friendly, easy, and by this point of the build I was kind of in the mood to wrap things up. But I did manage to decorate it a little bit. I didn't want it to look too bare. I love adding mirrors to pools. I don't know. I think it was because I worked at a gym, and in the pool basement that they had, or the basement pool that they had, there was tons of mirrors surrounding the whole thing, and it's just in my mind that a basement pool will have a ton of mirrors. I don't know. So this is the gym, and as you can see, it has all the things that you need for a gym. Once I finish up with the gym, I go to the little apartment in the basement. So it has everything. It has a little kitchen, a little bedroom, and a TV. It's all open, so it's kind of like a studio apartment. It's perfect for like 1 or 2 Sims. I actually built this apartment pretty fast, so I didn't do anything fancy, and I went with the same style as the rest of the house. So I didn't have to think about a new style for this bedroom. I just did the same thing as the rest of the house, and it's just one big room. So it really wasn't that hard to decorate. It's just the thing about doing one big room, making it a studio, is you kind of have to figure out how you want to section off the space. This little nook over here just made the most sense for the kitchen. It takes up a pretty big portion of this little apartment, but it's a pretty important space. You want to make sure your Sims can feed themselves and all that good stuff. So if you have the for rent pack, you can section this off and have it available for rent. So in one of my games, I have one of my Sims living down here, like a teenager, and then the parents live in the main house. What's nice about that is sometimes I'm just in the mood to play one Sim at a time, but I don't want to give up my entire family. So that way I can sort of still watch everyone and play everyone, but I can just focus on one Sim at a time. Thank you all so much for watching today. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe, leave me a comment, let me know what you think. But I hope you all have an amazing day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!